Good morning and welcome to the Facilities and Purchasing April 16th, 2026 meeting. Before we start, a couple different housekeeping things. First, this meeting is being recorded. So if you can, just make sure that whatever you plan to say or video you're cognizant that it is being recorded and available to the public. Number two, for our meeting, it is only in Zoom. You don't have to put any comments in the chat, but if you have a question or a comment regarding a different agenda item, if you could just raise your hand and then you can ask the question. We will get through everyone's questions. Three, Abby Rubin will not be on the call. She had a family emergency that she's tending to. But currently, Jen Rivera as well as myself are on there. And we're expecting Shayna as well.
And Carrie's joining right now.
Okay, great. Curry's joining. Perfect. Before we begin, if everyone can just make sure that they mute their specific computer so there's no background noise. And with that being said, if we could start with our first agenda item, the list of bills. Mr. Orlando.
Yes, the list of bills are being provided. Are there any questions regarding any of those entries?
Jen, do you have any questions?
No questions on my end. Thank you so much.
Perfect. I don't have any questions. If we could see if there's any comments or questions from the community, please, regarding the list of bills.
If they can please raise their hand, use the raise hand feature. If you have any questions, that'd be great. Thank you. I do not see any questions.
Great. With that being said, let's move on to the next item. And then at the end, what we'll do is we'll vote to move this item as well as the other agenda items forward. So Mr. Orlando, if you could discuss the purchasing report, agenda item B, please.
Yes, so we have one item on the purchase report. I'm going to have Mr. Lill provide the details of this particular item.
Thank you. Good morning. The title is High Voltage Conduit Repair, Marion Elementary School. And the members of the committee may recall that we had a discussion about this back in August of 2025. And we've been working on this for the past year or so. This is a situation at Marion where the underground high voltage feed to Marion Elementary has failed twice, once in September of 2024. And again, it failed in June of 2025. And both times the service failed on our property under our front lawn. So that is a customer responsibility. That's not PECO's responsibility. It's on our side of that PECO customer break. So obviously, having full power to that building at all times, particularly when the students are in the building, is critical. So we've been doing various exploratory work, done some work to try to figure out the best way to get a new and reliable service into that building. And some of you may also be aware of a pole in the front lawn of Marion Elementary, facing Bowman. It is properly barricaded. However, in order to finish the work and get to the final solution that will last for the next 40, 50 years, if not beyond, the building does have to be shut down. That's really not something we want to take on during the school year. So we've done everything we can up to this point with students in the building, and then we need to have a contractor out this summer to make the remaining repairs to these conduits and make sure and get this new service fully up and running. And in order to do that, we opened bids on April 8th, 2026, and we recommend that the bid from Carr and Duff for the high voltage conduit repair at Marion Elementary School be accepted in the base bid amount of $26,890.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Lill. Just one quick question before I open up to Ms. Rivera. So this will complete all of the work regarding this high voltage repair in front of Marion Elementary School?
Correct. We've basically everything we can do with the building occupied. It just now becomes a matter of having a shutdown, and that's really something that has to be done over the summer due to occupancy during the school year.
Great. Thank you. Ms. Rivera, any questions?
No questions on my part. Thank you.
Curry, do you have any questions regarding this?
No, thank you for the update. I'm enjoying. visiting facilities.
All right, I have no other questions regarding this. Thank you, Mr. Lil, regarding this. At this point, let's move on to,
I don't see any raised hands either, Jason.
oh, sorry. Yes, do we have any raised hands regarding this item? Nothing? Perfect. With that being said, if we could move on to agenda C, the district contracts.
Hi, everyone. I have a couple curriculum supervisors joining me. We presented this in long form on Monday evening with curriculum committee of the board. I will go through them relatively quicker than that now. I'm going to turn it over to Rob to talk about Amplified Desmos.
Thank you. So the Amplified Desmos contract is the final piece of phased implementation of our new 5 through 8 middle school curriculum, core curriculum.
And Dory, Brooke Workman with Structured Literacy.
Yes, this is part of a 3-year plan to support our structured literacy and science of reading, coaching, and consulting.
And if you'll move forward with Common Lit.
Absolutely. Common Lit Pro is a resource that is used in the secondary level. It supports standards and analysis instruction, differentiation, and also is used for assessment purposes. The Curriculum Associates iReady Toolbox Digital Reading is a teacher resource that is used for planning for both intervention and enrichment. And then I believe that's Delta Math is up after that one.
Sure. Delta Math is a supplementary math program that we use in our 5 through 12th grade classrooms. Gives independent practice, student feedback, and data for teachers to drive instruction.
Hello.
Dory.
Hey, sorry, I gotta go.
Garbanzo is.
I can't see that one. Okay, yeah. Okay, go ahead.
No, Garbanzo is world language. We're looking for 17 Spanish subscriptions and 10 French. French is new with Garbanzo, and it helps teachers differentiate. In our world language classrooms, there's also often multiple levels in one room, and this supports teachers with differentiation. IXL?
Sure. IXL is another supplementary program used in 5 through 12 in math and in 5 through 8 in reading. We use it as a diagnostic and for independent practice, feedback, and data-driven decision-making.
Mackin is a library resource for students to use and faculty for research-driven areas. Next is the New York Times. We've the past bunch of years have got a subscription for students and staff. And then finally, TCI, which is a 1-year renewal of our middle school social studies curriculum. And then lastly is Power School. And this is specifically Schoology, where we're going to pay for 3 years. This year, we're going to use 1 year, but we're asking for approval for a 3-year contract. So this year we'll pay $35,860.33. And then the next 2 years we would complete that contract. And this is specifically Schoology, our learning management system. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Vera, any questions?
No, I'm grateful. I sit on the curriculum committee meeting, so heard these further explained, and it was affirmed that it's accounted for in our budget planning and everything. So thank you. No questions on my end.
Thank you.
Ms. Curry? Sorry.
It's cool, Jason.
Ms.
That's totally
Sondner,
fine.
Dr. Sondner.
It's cool. Curry's cool. No, I understand these completely from the past years as a teacher. And I watch curriculum. So very clearly stated. Thank you all for the additional information for this committee. All are completely approved, and I vote for them to move forward and for the contract for 3 years for Schoology as well.
I think Shayna has joined. Shayna, any questions on this?
No, apologies for that. I was having some board docs issues. No, I got the full overview when we were in CCOB, so they all look good to me.
Great. And I have no other questions, and I appreciate the fact that this was a deeper dive in curriculum, and now it's here as well. So I appreciate all the explanation and all the information during the curriculum meeting. Are we okay to move? Sorry, before we do that, do we have any comments from the community regarding district contracts?
I do not have any raised hands.
Perfect. So are we okay moving this forward, the district contracts forward?
Yes.
Okay, and then just
Yes.
stepping back for a second with regard to the purchasing report, do we have any, we already went through this, there was no community comments. Are we okay moving the purchasing report forward?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. And then the last is going back to the list of bills, we reviewed those as well as there was no comments from the community. Are we okay with moving those forward?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Sorry, Denise, that we're going back and forth. I appreciate your flexibility. If we could go move on to agenda item D, Ms. Schaefer.
Hi, good morning, everyone. This is a proposal to engage with the Montgomery County Planning Commission to do
I'm sorry, excuse me, Megan, I'm having a really hard time hearing you.
Oh, okay. How about now?
That's better, thank you.
Is that better? Okay. Okay, so this is a proposal to engage with the Montgomery County Planning Commission to conduct an enrollment projection study for us. We have previously partnered with MCPC to provide enrollment studies to us, the last one being in November of 2023, which some of you will recall is before we moved to a full day kindergarten model. So at that point, the projections were sort of looking into the unknown a bit because they didn't have that sort of reliability of this is what we can expect with a half day program. They were projecting into the future with a new model and anticipating higher enrollment numbers at that time. We've been pleased to see that they're projections largely overall were reliable enough for us to plan with. But as with any good projection, at some point it becomes a little stale. Last year we talked about doing an update. They were still, we felt pretty good with the numbers, but knew that this would be the time we would be asking for the board to approve a new study that would begin for next year. To update those numbers. I have been tracking them pretty closely. What we see is some discrepancies at the K1 level, which we could anticipate, again, because we were kind of looking into that crystal ball. Also at the high school level, we see some numbers that have changed over time in terms of where they were at once moving apart are now moving closer together in terms of size. So that's something we would like to make sure we were getting a fresh look at new numbers. And for that reason, we've been pleased with their work over time and would like to recommend a study for next year.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Schaefer, for the background information, all the information. Shayna, do you have any questions regarding this?
I don't have any questions, but I did want to say that in my past experience with MCPC and the work they produce for us, that this is, of all the things we purchase, a really good value for our money because the amount of time and expertise and the value of the product that we're buying for $12,800 is very much worth every penny on that. And I'm very interested to hear what they have to say now that we have our full day kindergarten in place for 2 years.
Thank you. Jen, any questions?
No, I just support this work and thank you, Megan, and to your team leading this. It has been extremely helpful seeing also just the success with rolling out full day kindergarten and looking at the projections and stuff. I've been very impressed and happy as putting aside school board a parent.
Curry, any questions?
Let's note this, but Megan, just to remind me, the projections, have they been so far over or under? My memory is that they've been over and we've been coming in under both on the K through 1 and the high school, but I just wanted to clarify how the projections that we've had have been stacking up to what we're seeing so far.
So the kindergarten was like if I just look at this year's numbers,
Yeah.
for example, the projection was lower than our actual by about 70 students across total.
Got it.
First grade was actually down in terms of actual by about the same amount. So kind of course correcting on that might be helpful for us moving forward. And but overall, like it doesn't impact like one school significantly. We see a couple outliers across elementary, but again, we were able to overall. What I think is interesting, the total numbers for this year between actual and projections across the district was a difference of about 25 students, which is pretty impressive overall.
Yeah. Got it. And the high school as well. How are we seeing that?
So
Because
high
that's
school,
been a little bit of a flip for us in the
for
last few
sure,
years too. Yeah.
for
Because
sure.
like
So
it's hard to plan
mhm.
when the behaviors are changing.
So there was both. There's always been choice for some, for many, and then with some of the partner schooling we had to do because we were seeing that surge at Lower Merion. That had some impact. It wasn't a large number of students, but so the projections for this year for Harriton, for example, were 1173. The actual is about 1320. For Lower Merion, the projection was about 1700, and we're at 1500. So there's like a 200 student. What do I want to say?
Differential.
Between the projections and actuals.
Great. So could you say that the study will be able to give us, and we're never going to be perfect. These are studies, but will it give us a little bit more accuracy in our planning?
That's what I expect out of this.
Great. Wonderful.
Absolutely.
And that really helps. And again, the policies aren't meant to be prescriptive, but they are meant to give us guidelines. This will also be able to help us when writing the policy, give us a little bit more insight in how our ARs play out as well. Correct?
For sure.
Great.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. I just want to like tie a bow in all the different committees together and how this will inform that practice. Thank you. I'm all for it.
Really quickly, just an update on the tool and how it helps me and us plan. We look at it for a few years down the road, right? Every year it's not going to be perfect. People move in, people move out, things like that. So to look at the projections from last year, which we do, and we continue to use that as a tool to plan, is not as helpful as looking at 4 years from now. And the projections, okay, what are we looking at 4 years from now according to the births or the trends or things like that? So that's very helpful also, not only from year to year, but for us to plan any major changes we would need. And historically, we've been doing pretty well, but that's what that tool does for me long-term as well.
This is great. We're looking at a system of humans. Always fun,
Yes.
always changing. Thank you. I just like to sometimes not talk about it for the reason of saying yes or no, but more of just like understanding of the full system. So thank you both for that extra context. Sorry, Jen, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was agreeing with this was extremely helpful. Thank you.
And Mr. Herman, forgive me because I'm going to bring up some nuts and bolts here, which are a little less exciting. Ms. There was a conversation about this costing $12,800. If you actually go down a little bit lower on the page, the cost of the district is actually $9,600. That's because the MCPC is a government entity. We're a government entity, and their standard terms and conditions are we only pay 75% of that cost. So it's actually a $9,600 expense. And again, I would echo the value of the MCPC's product. The MCPC does numerous projections for various school districts. I think our goal here was to be at the top of their list for this fall because they only have capacity for so many. And just from a timing standpoint, when the 10-day enrollment's issued in September, that's where they really start their work. And then I think we have them scheduled for a presentation in November, which is similar to prior years. So that was some of the more dull nuts and bolts stuff from the facilities guy.
Thank
No,
you.
I appreciate the information. Thank you.
I appreciate being corrected always. love to
Only
be
if-
wrong when the answer is we owe less money.
I only brought it up because the price went down, Ms. Galish. It's just for
I
the
appreciate you. That's the best way to be wrong
fiduciary
is
benefit.
things costing less money.
Excellent.
Just one additional question just for Ms. Schaefer or Dr. Ranelli. Is the expectation that this would be every year? Are we looking every 2 years? What is the going forward?
Yeah, we're looking at every 2 years. So we'll do it this year and then again in 2 years. And if we feel the need, if there's some kind of push one way or another, we feel the need to invoke it for another year, we'll talk to the vendor and see what we could do. But the plan would be every 2 years.
Excellent. All right, fantastic. Can we see if there's any questions from the community?
I do not see any raised hands.
Great. Are we okay moving this forward?
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
All right, perfect. I think that's it for the agenda items. I'd now like to open it up just for the community if there's any other matters to discuss.
We have Miss Bentley.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes,
we
thank
can.
you.
Great. Okay. Thanks, everyone. My name is Erin Betley. I live in Ballackinwood. I have 2 children in the school district, a 6th grader at Ballackinwood Middle School, a 4th grader at Kinwood. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'll keep my comment to 3 minutes. I'm attending on behalf of a group of about 30 parents of children who participate in the theater program at Ballackinwood Middle School called BC Applause. Several of us are here today with me. While parent volunteers have always been vital to the success of this very important program, we have been organizing for the past few months in part to build an advocacy plan because it's clear to us that BC Applause has some urgent needs related to the equipment used by the program. So I'm here today to request that the school district invest in a full professional assessment by a sound engineer of the space and the equipment in the Ballackinwood Middle School auditorium, and here's why. Our family loves theater. Our oldest child has had a wonderful experience with BC Applause under the direction of Shannon Knight, who is here today with us. My daughter was a cast member for the past 4 shows. Our youngest plans to join the program next year as a 5th grader. We're also strong supporters of all of LMSD's superb theater programs. In recent years, we have seen shows at Lower Merion High School, Harriton, Black Rock, and Welsh Valley. All of these programs share something in common. Their sound systems work properly. So properly that you can simply sit back and enjoy the wonderful shows. We have seen at least a dozen performances, and I do not recall a single example of any audio issues at all. This is not the case at Ballackinwood Middle School. Every show that I've seen going back years has been affected by significant audio issues. Sometimes the feedback is so bad it drowns out everyone for quite a while, and then the performers have to adjust where they are on the stage to reduce the feedback. It usually doesn't work. Other times their wireless microphones aren't working at all, and since the overhead microphones are not operational, a significant portion of the show can't be heard at all. The student-run sound crew does an amazing job with what they have, but we're here to say that we think there needs to be a top-to-bottom overhaul of the equipment that's used by the theater program, because I'll add, I don't notice significant sound issues for the chorus or the instrumental performances that are happening in the same auditorium. So I'll close by saying that our kids and our coaches are working so hard for months to prepare for these shows, and it's pretty heartbreaking to see how they're impacted by a sound system that's simply not functioning as it should. And it doesn't seem equitable that we go to performances at other schools in the district and my children point out that it's a completely different experience simply because of the equipment. So our hope is that by bringing this to your attention, the school district can figure out how to make timely and appropriate equipment upgrades so future performances by BC Applause are not marred by audio issues. This investment would make a significant difference for so many families and children at Ballackinwood Middle School. Thank you so much for your time and attention. We are so grateful to live in this school district with such a strong support for the performing arts.
Thank you, Ms. Bentley. I appreciate it. Appreciate everybody else who came to join. I know I've had conversations with Jim Lill regarding this, and our plan was to get to the auditorium in the spring and the summer, and really try to figure out what we can do. So I appreciate it. I hate to say it's on the list because there's a lot of things there, but I know it's important to you all, and I want to make sure you understand that it's important to us as well.
Could I just add something really quickly? I'm Shannon Knight. I'm the director of BC Applause and have been for the last 7 years. We've been on the list to get a new sound system since COVID summer. It's been several years that we've been on the list. Our system was state of the art. It was brand new. Everything was, is an awesome system. When it was implemented in 2003. So at this point, it needs some significant attention. And it would be nice it's nice to know we're still on the list, but we've been on the list for a long time now.
I appreciate that. I've only been here a year, so I can't speak to any lists or whatever it may be or priorities before me. Please know the theater is definitely a priority for me.
Okay, next we have Ms. Schreiber.
Hi. I had a couple of questions about during the last finance meeting, there was $24 million of additional facilities projects that were kind of flushed out as part of the proposal for an EIT. The $12 million for the new playgrounds seemed to be a shift the from what the proposal had said in earlier presentations. They just didn't add up to 12 million. There was also the change in the amount for the Arnold Field with the proposal of a $4 million bridge, but they didn't have solid numbers on the bridge yet. So I guess I have two questions. One is, can you describe how the $12 million came to be with the playground thing? And second of all, when it comes to the bridge, I'm assuming that is a several years down the line proposal that would involve PennDOT, et cetera. So if the project now involves a bridge across Montgomery County, does that mean that the Arnold Field project is going to be kind of out of the timeline for at least like the next 2 or 3 years? Or is that something like, what does the timeline look like for the Arnold Field project if it now includes a bridge? Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate the questions. First, for the $12 million playgrounds, I don't recall the exact numbers that we got for estimates, Ms. Schreiber, but these are estimates that we're looking at. Once we were able to secure a funding stream, and I know maybe Mr. Herman will add on to my comments or after I'm done. Once we figure out a funding stream, we'll do the really hard numbers of where we are. But I think we got a quote somewhere in the $10 million range. And we're trying to make sure that we encumber or plan for as much increase as we can. If it's less than that, that's wonderful. As far as the bridge is concerned, that's something that we would love to do. And I'll reiterate what I said. Once we figure out the funding stream, we will do the plan to do that. We will conduct a plan to do that and see what kind of money we're talking about. And even if it's possible with the limited space that we have right outside my window, I could see it. So the limited space of how it would even be configured. So again, approximations, stuff that we think would be, we'd be neglectful if we didn't put in there. But once we would figure out the funding stream, we'd really, get the cost estimates to figure out engineering prices, current prices, things like that. So I hope I helped. Not solid answers, but
yeah. So I guess the because of the football question as well, and this discussion about whether or not there could be a merged team, I guess what I'm curious about, it sounds like if the football team were to be merged, there is no scenario where there could be lights on Arnold Field within the next academic year.
absolutely not. You're correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're two separate conversations as well. It's not just the football field; it's a field for all our sports, for our gym classes, for the community, things like that. So two separate conversations, but it would absolutely not be next year.
I guess I'm just, as when I talk to football families, I guess that if they're looking for an opportunity to merge the teams this fall, there is no scenario where that merger could happen with evening lights at Lower Merion High School.
So I feel like this is taken a lot of routes here, which it could take. And I will like to offer up to the group that and Frank, please correct it, Dr. Rinelli, correct me, on April 28th from 6:30 to 8:30. Is that correct, the timing?
16.
We are 6 to 8. We are having our second round of community conversations on safety and football, where it's going to be an open conversation and listening section on football in the 2020 whatever year we're in, 5, 6, and 7 football conversation where we can kind of unpack some of these things a little bit more and talk about this season and next season, short term, and really talk through because this is facilities, which tends to be, yes, a little bit more short term, and then finance. And I want to just keep us on track around what
I
we go
very
through.
much want to be on track, but I feel like with the listening tours, we need to get to the point where we actually know what constraints we have so that we have more productive conversations during the listening. So if Arnold Field Lights, if we could have a yes, no walking into the discussion in 12 days, I think that would help to get more productive conversation. It's just my opinion.
So
I
Arnifil's
think
lights will not happen, just to be really clear, Arnifil lights will not happen in the year 26
Perfect.
or the year 27. And I'm pretty sure 27, 28 school year. So that's off the table.
Perfect.
Merger for football fields will not, because of the PIAA rules, will not happen in what school year? In 25, 26 school year or 27, correct, Frank? It cannot happen because of the school year, because of their rules, correct, Frank?
are some bylaws that I don't want to quote, right? So I do think if it doesn't change our classification, not for this fall, but the following. But so again, two separate conversations. We'll leave football out of this for now, but lights will not be on the field for this fall
Okay.
as
Thank you
far
very
as facilities are concerned.
Okay, next we have Robert. Can you please make sure you say your full name and where you reside within the district when you?
Hello. I apologize. My name is Julia Puglisi. I could not figure out how to get change the label, so I apologize for that. I am in Bala Cynwyd.
I'm sorry, I'm
and-
having a difficult time hearing you. If you could
Oh,
just
you
speak a
can-
little louder.
Oh, we can hear her, but if you want to just speak a little bit louder.
Okay. Again, my name is Julia Puglisi. I live in Bala Cynwyd. I have a 5th grader that goes to BCMS, and I have a 4th grader at Cynwyd Elementary. I just wanted to echo Aaron's comments. My 5th grader this year participated in BC Applause. Absolutely loved the experience. It's such a wonderful program where students across multiple grades can make connections. For example, my 5th grader has become very good friends with a 7th grader, which she never would have had that opportunity had she not been in the program. So just wanted to say, I know that the board is working very hard. I know that determining budget is not an easy project, but appreciate hearing that assessing the audio in the auditorium is a priority, and my rising 5th grader is definitely going to want to be in the program as well. So that's all. Just wanted to share. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a quick question, Dr. Anelli. I was just curious. Similar to what we did with like the fields between Cynwyd Elementary School and Bala Cynwyd Middle School, is it possible that maybe we can look to see whether or not we can do an evaluation of the system and then at least see what financial costs are associated with it, and then it could be reported back to us so that we have a better idea from a financial standpoint what actually needs to be upgraded?
That's not only a possibility, that's the plan I'm going to have to do for the summer. So I'm on it.
Perfect. Yep. Awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay, I think, is it Yehuda? Mr. Yehuda?
Yes, I'm Yehuda Miller. I'm a parent of an 8th grader in BCMS. I also live in Bala Cynwyd, and I went from a parent volunteer to a parent staff member with Shannon's team at at BC Applause. And I just have to echo what everyone else is saying, that my daughter, we moved here when she was in 6th grade from Israel, and BC Applause is where she found her place. And just went from an incredibly shy kid to working on the costume crew, and then for the next play and for all the rest of the plays in her time at BC Applause has been in the cast and just completely opened up and found her home there for 3 years. I personally plan to continue on as a coach, even though my youngest child is going to be moving up to Harriton next year. And just wanted to echo the comments made before. The biggest weak link in our production is the audio system, with feedback, with mics that aren't working, and less so for the audience and more for the actual students who are participating. I know it would make them feel a lot better if they feel like they're being portrayed in a better light rather than people cringing when they talk because there's audio feedback or not able to hear them, if they don't have a loud projecting voice that they're not heard. And I think it's really important that they all get heard in the way that they would like to. So that's what I have to share. Thank you.
And Ms. Beck?
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Catherine Beck. I have two girls at Bala Cynwyd Middle School who participated in BC Applause as well. And this year I volunteered as a vocal coach. So I worked with Shannon. And I just wanted to echo what Ms. Bentley said and everyone else. The kids would do so much better if they felt confident in the sound system. So I just wanted to show my support.
Thank you.
And Ms.
Before we
Hassler?
move on to the Denise, before we before we move on to the next one, I just had a quick question. I was just curious, Ms. Knight, since you oversee the program, just to give us a perspective, how many students are involved in the production? Is there more than one production? Just to kind of give us a perspective of the amount of students.
Of course, we do two full productions each year. We do the fall play and the spring musical. Each of those shows takes between 2.5 to 3 months of rehearsals and preparation in order, well, for the kids. The grown-ups have more, but for the kids, it's 2.5 to 3 months of preparation to get the show ready for the audience. There are, depending on what the show is, recently the fall play has been more popular with students. We have 135 students who participate in the fall play, and then for the spring musical we had 119 for the musical. So it's a huge number of children that are not all of them are on the stage. For the cast, we had 55 students in the cast for the musical, and around, I think it was, I didn't look this number up, I believe it was 65 students for the fall play in the cast. So it's a good number of kids up there that would like to be heard.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry, Ms. Hassler?
Yes, hello. My name is Emily Hassler, and I have a daughter in 6th grade at Bala Cynwyd Middle School, and we live in Wynwood. And I'm also here to show my support for BC Applause. And I also want to echo what Julia and Shannon and Aaron have already said. I can't really say it any better than they can, but I know, what Shannon said about being on the list. I know she's expressed to the kids, hey, we're looking at hopefully getting a new sound system. And I know my daughter has been, hey, we're going to get a new sound system. And she's been very excited about that. So just thank you so much for your support in this. We really appreciate it. And I know it will make a big difference to the kids. So thank you.
So
Thank
I
you.
want to interject really quickly. I can't figure out how to raise my hand on my
I'm
phone.
sorry, Brianne, can you just say your name and where you reside?
Yes, I was going to. I just wanted to say I couldn't figure out how to raise my hand. So my name is Brianne Pessis. I live in Bala Cynwyd. I have a 4th grader and a 6th grader this current year. So both will be at BCMS next year. My older one is in BC Applause as well. So I'm also here for that. To add to what everyone else said, as an example of how terrible the sound system works, for the fall play, my husband and I went to go see my son, and the Friday night performance, we didn't understand or hear the second half of the play, so much so that we went back on Saturday just to know what happened because we heard nothing. It was that severe. So this isn't like, oh, there's some feedback, oh, there's some problems. It's literally microphones not working and major issues with microphones not turning off, and just go see a show. It's really like, I feel horrible for these kids when they come out and they're like, what did you think? And you say, it was great, but you had no clue what they said. That's it.
I'm sorry, I too don't know how to get the hand thing to go up. Yeah, and it's not that we don't test this beforehand. We test it, and it's always a different problem than what we ran into during rehearsal. It's never the same problem with the system twice. So it can all be working perfectly during rehearsals, during our dress rehearsal, and then we come time for the performance and something else goes wrong. So I just wanted to let you guys know that. You guys.
Okay, that's it for the public comment.
Thank you. And I appreciate all of the feedback from the community, all of your comments. And if there's no other comments from the community or from the board members, we're going to adjourn. Our next facilities and purchasing meeting is scheduled for when, Ms. LaPera?
It is May 14th, 2026, same time, same place.
Perfect. Thank you very much, everyone, for your comments and for attending, and we hope to see you at the next meeting.